A number of changes have occurred in recent years in the forms of production and consumption, which have resulted in changes in migration and consumption and in the relationship between these. The main changes can be expressed in terms of global-local relationships in production, shifts to various forms of more flexible production, requiring changes in both capital accumulation and the labor process, and the development of more flexible and internationalized forms of consumption, resulting in both the intensification of and the emergence of new forms of tourism and migration flows. While to some extent a response to changes in the nature of capital accumulation processes these new forms of mobility, they are also the outcome of changes in the cultural construction of leisure time and spaces. Moreover, the demographic and social changes brought about by these population flows contribute to reshaping the conditions for both production and consumption. We call these traveling intimacies. Traveling intimacies can be defined as a motivation or desire to enjoy a different climate, culture, and activity, the need for jobs, and for staying with or visiting friends and family. Two distinct examples of traveling intimacies are tourism and migration. The growth of tourism has, of course, long been interdependent with that of particular forms of migration. Quite apart from the fact that tourism itself constitutes a form of migration, of varying duration, these traveling intimacies have distinct differences that can be distinguished through their colonial history and push and pull factors. Firstly, tourism is defined as a temporary, short-term movement of people to destinations that are outside their normal places of work or residence. Migration, on the other hand, is permanent and involves movement across boundaries of provinces, states, or nations. Tourism tends to be seasonal and involves several movements to and from a place. Migration, however, is not seasonal and includes only a single movement without return. Although many of us have been tourists at some point in our lives, defining what tourism actually is can be difficult. Cultural transactions between social groups in the past have generally been restricted, sometimes by the facts of geography and ecology, and at other times by active resistance to interactions with the other. Where there have been sustained cultural transactions across large parts of the globe, they have usually involved the long-distance journey of commodities and of the merchants most concerned with them, and of travelers and explorers of every type. Today, a traveler can decide to go to the North Pole and be there by tomorrow. Global infrastructures such as transportation and communications and global policies for free trade have created a situation where people and businesses in the global north can easily access natural resources and cultures in the global south. Nakamura quotes, "The iconography of the travelogue or tourist attraction in the advertisements that we see places the viewer in the position of the tourist, who indeed McCannell's words, simply collects experiences of different people, different places, and emerges as a miniature clone of the old Western philosophical subject, thinking itself unified, central, in control, or simply mastering otherness and profiting from it." Before colonial rule and the infusion of Western systems, people in the Third World lived in relatively self-sufficient communities. The modes of production and style of life were largely in harmony with the natural environment. Colonial rule changed the social and economic structures of Third World societies. The new structures, consumption styles, and technological systems became so ingrained in Third World economies that even after the attainment of political independence, the importation of Western values, products, technologies, and capital continued and expanded. Take Jamaica, for example. Jamaica has the 12th highest immigration rate in the world, but is ranked among the 20th least attractive countries in the world for immigrants. Lowell and Finley purport not only has the demand for skilled labor in developed countries increased, but pull factors such as better wages and employment conditions, better information, recruitment, and cheaper transportation encourage skilled immigrants to seek jobs and opportunities in developed countries. With limited social and economic opportunities available to most persons in Jamaica, the allure of the lifestyle in developed countries is difficult to stave off. economic decline, widening inequality, increasing poverty, social displacement, crime, and political crisis have been the main drivers of immigration. The major push factors influencing migration include, but are not limited to, general crime and violence, an unstable economy which in turn affects an individual's social and economic opportunities and career advancement, poor unemployment opportunities, and sluggish economic growth. This, coupled with the ease and availability of information about opportunities outside of Jamaica, play a vital role in the migration decision-making process. Although it has now been 51 years since Jamaica gained its independence, one cannot relinquish the colonial ties from the vibrant, robust beating heart of the young nation. Colonialism is still to this day ingrained into the nation's history, politics, and collective identity. After the island sought and established independence from its British predecessor in 1962, the nation struggled to get on its feet and suffered economically and socially to the point where they sought assistance from the IMF and the World Bank, whom of which devalued their currency, cut back their spending, and restricted them from spending on sectors that were important to the growth of their economy. To conclude, while geographers are concerned with the underlying processes of economic restructuring and cultural change which inform the redefinition of tourism-migration relationships, they are also interested in the extent and ways in which their impacts are contingent on economic, social, political, and environmental conditions in particular localities. In turn, these local conditions inform the unfolding processes of globalization.